My name is Rick Brown. I'm the chairman of the Hall of Fame, and we're welcoming you to this great celebration. We do this every year to celebrate Washington, D.C. basketball, and it's a great thing to celebrate. We did so many great things to start this game going in to the turn of the century with E.B. Henderson, through the breakthroughs for the Jim Howells of the world, to being able to spread the game all over the world. As you know, back in the 60s and 70s, the State Department would send Joe Gallagher, Morgan Wooten, and others around the world to give clinics to teach foreign players. No secret today, there's 23% of the NBA is foreign-born players because we started it. So, celebration of Washington, D.C., from Sligo and Dennis Avenue, Turkey Thicket, Jelliff, Boys Branch, Candy Cane City, Sporting Club, to the NCAA, NBA championships, and the Olympics. That's who we have here today. It's been a stressful past few weeks for me because you guys are like herding cats, okay? And my wife told me this week I woke up several times in the middle of the night yelling, "Baby, baby, baby." If baby calls me anymore at 11 o'clock at night, I can't take the call anymore, baby. But anyhow, thanks for everybody showing up. I want to first make sure to celebrate our committee, the people who've worked hard to put this together. We start back in May. We have about 10 guys on our committee, and we each submit nominations, and then we go through the voting process through the summer. But I want to have my committee, please, if they're all here, my committee can please stand up. Brian Magid. Brian, please stand up. Tony Upson. Tony hadn't made it. Penny Green. Penny. Pete Strickland. Pete Kirshner. Chris Naki. Chris. There he is, Chris Naki. Red Jenkins. Red, where are you? There's Red. The chairman of the coaches committee, Mike Pepper. And Victor Brick. And Victor. Thank you, Victor. And I want to celebrate our existing Hall of Fame members who are here today. Some of them I just named their names, but please stand and remain standing. Our existing Hall of Fame members: Red Jenkins, Chris Naki, Brian Magid, Dan Harwood, Eddie Peterson, Tony Upson, Derek, it was a pass, Wittenberg, Chris Weller. Did Chris make it? Chris, there you go. Chris Weller, Ollie Johnson, Ollie, did you make it? Ollie Johnson, and Stacy Robinson. Stacy. All right. Our existing Hall of Fame members. Thank you very much. And before we say our prayer, I'd like to have a moment of silence today. Last summer, one of our key members, Lynn Brick, and Vicky's daughter, and Victor's daughter, unfortunately passed from cancer after many years of battle. She was a 4-time academic All-American basketball player for the University of Maryland. And this past month, Lynn and Victor donated and baptized a beautiful new women's locker room for the women's basketball team at Maryland in honor of their daughter. So let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you much. Thank you for all your work. Thank you for what your daughter did. The last thing I'm going to share is it's just an important point that all of us had a mentor in our lives at some point in time. Somebody picked you up and gave you an idea about what you could do in your life. You know, the 4 best words that a coach can say is, "I believe in you." And everybody in this room has been mentored or mentors others. So I just want to encourage you to make sure that you continue to be a mentor for others. And no matter when your basketball career ends, you can still help others. Last winter, I went to my grandson's JV basketball game. Marcus Thomas was coaching for Clarksburg JV against Dan Harwood's kid for Magruder. And a JV game, and the referee was Adrian Dantley. And AD is giving back, All-Pro, NBA star, Olympic champion, refereeing high school basketball games. So we all have a lot to give, don't we, folks? So let's make sure to do it. Next thing I'll say is we're going to break for lunch in a minute, but I'm going to ask Pete Strickland to come up and say a little prayer for lunch prior to our meal.
Thank you, Rick. Did we forget any Hall of Famers? I know we forgot one, and I'd ask him to stand. Dan Harwood. Dan is a Hall of Fame member that's also here. Dan, stand if you're here. I know you're here. Because I play pickleball with him, and I don't want him to have any extra motivation. So that's important. So, Rick, herding cats, Rick, I've told you many times, it's motion offense. It's motion. You got to read the defense, okay? You got to read the D. I've been tasked with doing the invocation this morning. We were going to have somebody from Gonzaga do it, but that godless place on I Street didn't bring anybody. What's new? What's new? All right, so if everybody could please, in all seriousness, bow your heads. Dear Lord, thank you for bringing us all together. We have such a commonality in basketball, and we have become united and tied together through this beautiful game that teaches teamwork, cooperation, discipline, and unity. Let that be the hallmark of our lives as we serve you, dear Lord. Keep an eye on our knees, if you would. We need some help with our knees. Just keep them a little bit healthier. And in your name we pray, and in your name we thank. Amen. Good afternoon, and congratulations to the 2025 inductees. This is a hard Hall of Fame to get into. It is a very difficult Hall of Fame to get into, so we want to honor these inductees. Rick Brown, when he took over the reins from Bob Gagan, who it was his brainchild that started this thing many, many moons ago. When Rick Brown took it over, there were some omissions. There were some holes. Rick, with our committee, feels like we're starting to fill those holes with deserving candidates. And we feel like this could be as strong a class as we've had since Rick has been the chairman. It is a hard Hall of Fame to get into. And that speaks of how good basketball is in our beloved DMV. So again, congratulations to the Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame inductees that we will now begin to honor. We're going to start out with an introductory video. So keep an eye on those two screens to your left and right. Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to the 2025 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame. Since 1981, the Hall of Fame gives recognition to worthy coaches, players, referees, executives, and special contributors. The nation's capital has long been regarded as a hotbed for basketball, past and present, and the Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame continues to honor the legends of D.C. area basketball with memorable banquets like today. Founded in 1981 by the late Bob Gagan, who also started the Capital Classic All-Star Game, his vision was to recognize and honor great achievements while providing a wonderful opportunity for people to meet and mingle with legends. Today's new Hall of Fame class of inductees will become part of history and join a notable team of Hall of Fame members that are now a permanent local shrine to basketball greatness from the Washington, D.C. area. We would like to thank and recognize our Hall of Fame sponsors who helped make this honorary event possible. Planet Fitness. With more than 2,000 clubs worldwide, your fitness is essential. Represented by Victor Brick, Chairman of Planet Fitness. The Pacific Institute. Transformative programs to unleash high-performance results. Represented by Rick Brown, Senior Project Director for TPI. We'd like to thank these special contributors as well, all who helped make today happen. Finally, a big shout out to legendary play-by-play sportscaster, TV, and radio personality Johnny Holiday for narrating the video bios of today's inductees. Thank you for attending and enjoy today's program of the 2025 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame, right here, right now.
From locally DeMatha High School and local American University, and what a career. What a career. And it's still churning. A trusted voice in sports. And is there a higher compliment than that in this age of misinformation? A trusted voice. Let's watch a video on David Aldrich.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, David Aldrich.
David Aldrich is a proud graduate of DeMatha Catholic High School and American University. He began his journalism career at the Washington Post, where he spent 9 years covering a range of sports, including the NBA, NFL, and college athletics. In 1996, Aldrich joined ESPN, where he spent 8 years as a reporter, primarily covering the NBA. And during his time there, he contributed to ESPN.com, ESPN Radio, and he made frequent appearances on SportsCenter, NBA Tonight, and NBA Today. David was also known for conducting high-profile SportsCenter Sunday conversations with such stars as LeBron James and Allen Iverson, Shaquille O'Neal, and Karl Malone. From 2003 to 2004, he served as an NBA sideline reporter for both ABC and ESPN. In 2004, Aldrich joined Turner Sports, becoming a familiar face on TNT's Inside the NBA. He also served as a sideline reporter during regular season games, All-Star Weekend, and the NBA playoffs. Additionally, he co-hosted The Beat on NBA TV and contributed commentary to various features on TNT. In recognition of his outstanding contributions to basketball media, Aldrich received the prestigious Kurt Gowdy Media Award from the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. Currently, David Aldrich serves as the senior columnist for The Athletic, where he continues to provide in-depth analysis and reporting on the NBA and broader sports culture.
David Aldrich, we welcome you to the 2025 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
Thank you first and foremost to the Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame for this honor. I would, though, recommend beefing up your research staff for future ceremonies. The current one clearly never saw me actually play basketball. It wasn't good. In that, however, I am humbled to be included amongst this group of very, very deserving winners, many of whom I know and have appreciated for years. For example, it is impossible for me to call Jim Howell Jim. I can't call him Jim because he's Mr. Howell to me, because he was my principal at Taft Junior High School in Northeast D.C. I don't think I have any Saturday demerits left, but I'll have to check. I got to DeMatha Catholic High School, and I have to say Catholic because Father James always says, David, it's DeMatha Catholic High School. Just a couple of years after Kenny Carr. I certainly know Mr. Carr's work speaks for itself over the years and decades. Saw Derek Wittenberg here, Pete Strickland. It's a whole thing with us at DeMatha, as you know. I did radio play-by-play with my best friend, Steve Hamrick, at American University, where we watched David Robinson terrorize our much smaller AU Eagles team back in the 80s. Any kid growing up in D.C. knew about Bebe Duran and the Hoyas. They were our team. They were D.C.'s team. We were very blessed not only to have Georgetown, but to have Will Jones at UDC win the national championship the same year Georgetown won the national championship in D1. Will Jones and UDC won it in D2 with Earl Jones, P. Bird Britt. Believe me, when I say DC basketball is, y'all know, it's for real, for real. I just saw Stacey Robinson. Can you imagine? This shook hands with Stacey Robinson. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is amazing to me. I've come to know and regard Christy Winter Scott in the highest regard as one of the greatest minds, one of the greatest basketball minds that I've ever talked to. Like she knows the game so well. Like, I want to know what she's thinking. I like to know what people are thinking at that level because they see the game differently than most of us do. So to them and to all of the inductees this year, my sincere congratulations. I will try to speed up from here on out. I have loved two things and one person deeply in the last 30 years of my life. The two things are the District of Columbia and basketball. They've had to reinvent themselves multiple times to keep up with a changing world. My friend Eddie Tapscott, my dear friend Eddie Tapscott, who I met 40 years ago when he was the head basketball coach at American and I was a kid reporter, is very famous for saying basketball is a culture, and he's right. There's so many people that make this thing work, that make this great game that we all love work. People from all faiths, all walks of life, all religions, all races. That's what I love about basketball. It said it doesn't care where you come from. If you can play, it doesn't care. But you have to be able to play. But I think about the people that I grew up with in Northeast DC, the GS4s and GS5s and GS10s that went up, the people that drove the bus, the Metro bus every day, the people that made this city work for so long. And I think about the coaches who laid out the lines on the courts, put the towels down, who drove the vans. And that's why I want to say, if you ever coached anybody at any level, I don't care if it was biddy ball, CYO, high school, college, pro, if you ever coached anybody, would you stand up for a minute? Just stand up, please. I can't thank you enough for the sacrifices you made to make kids. So it was mentioned earlier, those 4 words, I believe in you. You changed people's lives with that. Now, I didn't play because I sucked. I was terrible. It was awful. I really was not good. But in my line of work, there were people who said, I believe in you. People who are older than me. My English teacher at DeMatha, my journalism, the chair of the journalism department at AU. They said, you got something, really, stick with it. And they believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. So people like that, they change lives. I want to bring one other person who probably you would go, why are you mentioning him? Marion Barry changed my life. And I'm going to tell you why, because everybody has, well, y'all don't, because y'all are from here, but people outside D.C. have this impression of Marion Barry, and I get it, I understand it. Marion Barry is the first guy to give me a job. 13 years old for the Summer Youth Employment Program. And I know there's some more, I know there's a bunch of y'all that got jobs from, right? All right, so y'all don't loud talk Marion, okay? And basketball's been generous to me with its time. Again, when I first started doing this, one of the first people I interviewed was Morgan Wooten. Can you imagine? I'm this kid. I literally am trying not to throw up on myself, trying to interview Morgan Wooten. And he could not have been nicer and more generous with his time answering my really stupid questions about DeMatha basketball when I was 16 years old. Writing for the school paper. I mentioned Ed Tapscott. Same thing when I went to AU. Very patient with me, very kind with his time. When I first started covering the NBA, I was the beat writer. They were the Washington Bullets then. And Wes Unseld was the head coach. And Wes Unseld is the most honest human being I've ever dealt with in my life. He never lied to me. Ever. Ever. And he made me a better reporter because he never volunteered any information to me, but when I got information, he never lied to me about it. And that makes a difference. The person, I said I love two things in one person. The person that I loved and still love today is my wife, Diane, who has allowed me to chase and fulfill my dreams for decades, often at the expense of her own. And I could never repay her for that, or for taking the lead and raising our two sons, who are now two grown-ass men, which is just, wow. It's crazy. Two other people that I have to acknowledge. As I say this many times, everything that I've ever accomplished is because of James and Muriel Aldridge. That's non-negotiable. I do not know how a mailman and a nurse put 3 kids through college, but they did. My brother and my sister who's here today with her husband, we can attest to that. Anytime you want to talk to us about James and Muriel, we're here all day. So I can only say thank you, and it seems small, but it's all I can offer them is thank you for doing that for us. I want to close in this because, again, I know it's about midway through the first quarter and people really would like to get back for the second half of the Commanders game. But I just want to say real briefly, y'all know how great this game is, how great the game of basketball is. It's 5 people on a court working together and sacrificing for each other to make something bigger than themselves happen. It's just, it's a metaphor. If we would do this as a nation, we could figure this thing out in about 5 minutes. It's taken me around the world. I saw the best player of all time, the best player who ever played basketball. I saw that player play in his prime. And I'm not going to tell you his name. I'm just going to tell you it rhymes with Michael Jordan. Okay? I saw the dream team in Barcelona. I saw LeBron James in Rio. I saw Steph Curry in Paris. My life makes no sense. It's preposterous. I've covered 35, 36 NBA finals. I've covered a couple of NCAA Final Four. Saw Danny Manning cut the Nets down when he was at Kansas. The best college basketball game I've ever seen, Kansas, Oklahoma, 1988. As Shaq says, Google it. It's unbelievable. But I also got to see Elena Delle Donne play through 3 herniated discs to help the Mystics win a chip in 19. I've interviewed Bill Russell and then Yao Ming, and I have survived multiple attempts on my life from Greg Popovich during interviews. I cried when the Eagles first made the NCAA tournament in 2008. I cried when the Eagles made the NCAA tournament last March. I cry a lot because I'm James Aldridge's son. I would, again, in closing, just like to thank the Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame for this great honor and for including me in this class. I sucked at playing basketball, but I got pretty good about talking and writing about it. So thank you very much.
Our next inductee, also from DeMatha Catholic High School. As you see his prodigious scoring noted up here, remember that he played in an era at DeMatha at NC State where there were no three-pointers. And also, and you want to tell Coach Jones, Coach Harwood, you high school coaches here, you want to tell your kids, Kenny Carr played 24 minutes as a junior. 24 minutes. And so many young kids want guaranteed minutes these days. Kenny played 24 minutes as a junior and became an All-American at NC State. Now, he played behind a pretty good player by the name of Adrian Dantley, but that's how many minutes he played. So let's watch this video on Kenny Carr, our next inductee.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, Kenny Carr.
Kenny Carr emerged as a force at DeMatha High School in 1974. That year, DeMatha was ranked number 3 as he led the storied program to the city championship game. He capped off his senior campaign playing for the legendary Morgan Wooten as a first-team All-Met and first-team Parade High School All-American. He played in the inaugural Capital Classic, showcasing his talent among the nation's elite, and chose to attend NC State, establishing a recruiting pipeline from D.C. that would fuel the Wolfpack for the next 2 decades. At North Carolina State, Kenny had a stellar college career. He was a 2-time first-team All-ACC selection and a dominant presence in the conference, leading the ACC in scoring twice. In just 3 seasons, he amassed over 1,700 points while shooting an impressive 51% from the field. As a sophomore, he averaged 26 points a game. That was 5th in the nation. He was named an All-American that year. In a poll conducted by the university's information director and fan community, Kenny was voted the second greatest player in NC State history, trailing only the legendary David Thompson. The pinnacle of his amateur career came in 1976, when he earned a gold medal as a member of the U.S. Olympic basketball team. That same year, he was selected 6th overall in the first round of the NBA draft by the Los Angeles Lakers, a testament to the respect he commanded on the court. Kenny went on to have a solid 10-year career in the NBA. He twice averaged a double-double, and during the 1984-85 season, he finished 3rd in voting for the NBA's 6th Man of the Year award. His professional career is marked by consistency and toughness, and the same high-level performance he brought to every stage of his basketball journey. Teammate Pete Strickland was quoted, "Kenny was a poker-face killer with supreme confidence that could score from 3 levels." From DeMatha to the Olympics, from ACC dominance to NBA longevity, Kenny Carr's legacy is etched in the fabric of DC basketball history. Kenny is also enshrined in the North Carolina State Basketball Hall of Fame.
Kenny Carr, we welcome you to the 2025 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
Kenny is unable to make it, and probably with good reason. Kenny owns the Carr Construction Company in Portland, Oregon, where he employs over 90 people in an entity that he's had for many, many years. And Portland's in the news today, so we bless and pray for Kenny. His teammate, pretty daggone good player himself on the 74 DeMatha team, played with him for 3 years at DeMatha, went on to a great career at Nebraska. Eric Cord is here to accept for Kenny. Right now, Steve Turner's saying, "What are we, DeMatha guys? What, Steve, we're going alphabetically, okay? We're going alphabetically, okay? Aldridge, Carr, okay? By the way, you're Turner, so get comfortable, okay?" He is going to get the mic later. Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah. Speaking of scoring, talk about prodigiousness. This guy could score, and what a storied career he had. Let's watch the video on none other than Randolph Childress.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, Randolph Childress.
Randolph Childress comes from a proud DC basketball pedigree, and his career started with a bang. As a sophomore at Gwynn Park High School, he led his team to a Maryland State championship and earned all Prince George's County honors. A year later, he transferred to the powerhouse Flint Hill program, where he was named All-Met in 1990. Randolph continued his basketball journey in the ACC at Wake Forest University, where he made an immediate impact. As a senior, he shared the court with a future NBA Hall of Famer, Tim Duncan. In that season, Wake Forest finished first in the ACC. They were ranked number 3 in the country. Over his college career, Randolph scored over 2,200 points, averaging 18 points a game. His legendary status was cemented with a Cinderella ending to his college career. That was during the 1995 ACC tournament, in what many experts call the greatest individual performance in ACC tournament history. He scored 107 points over 3 games, a record that still stands today. He led Wake Forest to the tournament championship, and he was named MVP. That same year, Randolph was selected to the All-American team and honored as the 1995 ACC Athlete of the Year. He was drafted in the first round of the NBA draft by the Detroit Pistons as the 19th overall pick. After 4 years in the NBA, he continued his career overseas, playing professionally in Europe for 12 seasons. Randolph has also been inducted into the Wake Forest Basketball Hall of Fame. Randolph Childress had ice water running through his veins. He had a nasty DC crossover that was used to shake Jeff McGinnis to the floor in the ACC championship game. And that crossover was viewed 640,000 times on social media. For good reason, Wake Forest retired Randolph Childress jersey number 22.
Randolph Childress, we welcome you to the 2025 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
First, I'd like to say is wow. I think the biggest thing since the time of this announcement, and I've said this, I've talked to Christy and talking to a few of the other inductees, is you just feel like when you saw this list of people coming in, it was like, wow, like I don't know if I belong in this list. And I'm just incredibly honored to be here. I don't know who bribed who to get me in this, but I am tremendously proud of this moment. It's one of the best accomplishments of my life because I know how hard and what this area does and what it means and the ball players that have come out of this area. I know my history. Many of you in this room, I've never met, but you've motivated me. I'm a student of this game and I've studied it, and DC runs thick through these veins and it always will. And I'm really proud of that. What I didn't know until I arrived here tonight, I had, you sit around and you got to speak and you try to write things down and think of things you want to mention. And I won't get into some of the stuff that some of my friends and family wrote. My best friend wrote a speech. We won't get into that. My wife tried to help and that speech didn't go well either. So when I got here and I looked at the list of Hall of Famers and I saw one list, and I didn't know the video that was going to be shown. But George Leftwich, I'm just a city kid, grew up on Alabama Avenue, playing outside on monkey bars and Congress Heights outdoor courts. I didn't know what a gym was. I didn't start playing organized basketball until I was 13 years old. And I bounced around. And I ended up at Gwynn Park High School. We moved out of the city. We moved out to Clinton, Maryland. And George Leftwich notices me in PE and tells me when the tryouts are. And I'm there 1 year. We win the state championship. He calls me in his office. He says, hey, I'm leaving. And I'm going to make a call to Stu Vetter. And I want you to go to Stu Vetter, and I think you can make it. And I think you need to get out of here, and I don't want to trust your future in anyone else's hands, and you need to go to Flint Hill. And that changed my life. So I know George Leftwich is no longer here. I'm honored that he is in the Hall of Fame because he had a tremendous, tremendous impact in the direction in which my life went. So special thanks to George Leftwich, and anyone that knows George. He's just been great. And Stu Vetter, who he sent me with, another one that just helped me out so much. And I know Mike Pepper has played for Coach Vetter. Dennis Scott is an Hall of Famer here. And I'm proud to say I did not go to DeMatha like the previous two guys, so I can tell you that. So I'm honored to say I didn't go to DeMatha. My parents were unable to be here. I know they're proud. My brother's here. We lost our dad. We lost our dad in COVID, and I know he'd be really proud right now with my brother and I, and really him. He is. I'm glad that my parents are not here, but that table, everyone there. This is really about all of you. You motivated me in my life. As far just Hall of Fame, that group of people has impacted my life, and in different ways. And I got to be honest with you all. My friend Rick Bird over there, he and his wife Sharon, I'm glad they're here. Growing up from a broken home, they're a few years older than me, and I've told them this. I knew what I learned what love and marriage was supposed to be like from those two. And I thank you for that. Now, I'm sure Sharon doesn't always feel that way about Rick, but I can just assure you, from my observation, that's how it goes. And again, my younger brother's there. He's been along the journey. All of you know, as siblings, it's never easy growing up in the shadows of others, of big brothers, and so proud of his journey and where he's been. My best friend, again, I can't tell you about his speech, but just being that rock in my side my entire life. The Coolies, I love you guys for what you guys have meant to me and what you've done. So just a really special group of people that I was glad that they were able to share this moment with. Probably one last thing I like to do is thank so many of you. There's a lot of bucket getters in this gym. I was one of them, but it's a hell of a lot of bucket getters here, and I know who you are. Derek Wittenberg, I still had more assists than you, so cut it out. Let's stop this argument right now. I passed the ball more than you ever did, so we're never going to continue to have this argument again. I am completely honored. I just really am thankful for this moment. I do not take this for granted. I apologize to the officials over here. I didn't say much to these guys as a player, but I gave them hell as a coach. So I owe an apology to you guys coming in. But again, I'm just tremendously honored to be here. As I got up, my wife had to tell me just now, you know you belong here. And it's hard to think that way. And I know many of you other inductees feel that way because I do understand the appreciation. I see the greatness in this room of not just basketball, of people. And I just wanted you to guys know a guy from Alabama Avenue made it a hell of a long way and continue to motivate and lead people. And just tremendously honored to be here. Thank you all for the inductee.
All right, our next inductee, Rick talked about his persistence, calling him at 11 o'clock at night. Rick, try to be guarded by him. Try to be guarded by him. You'll learn about his persistence. A real foundational piece, I think, if Big John were still alive, he would say without a doubt, a real foundational piece in the dominant Hoya teams that we all watched growing up. Let's watch a video on Johnny Duran.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, John Duran.
John Duran made his mark early as a standout point guard at Dunbar High School in Washington, D.C. A two-time All-Inter-High selection and a 1976 first-team All-Met honoree, Duran led Dunbar to national prominence. In 1975, the team was ranked number 3 in the DMV, and in 1976, they ascended to the top, finishing with a perfect 29-0 record and earning the number 1 national ranking. Recruited by legendary coach John Thompson, Duran committed to Georgetown University, where he continued his stellar career. And by his senior season, he'd become the heart and soul of the Hoyas, leading them to both the Big East regular season and tournament championships. That same year, Duran swept the honors, earning first-team All-Big East, Big East Tournament First Team, Big East Player of the Year, and first-team All-NCAA Regional Honors. He was also recognized as Honorable Mention All-American. Duran's success extended beyond college. In 1979, he captured gold with Team USA at the Pan American Games. The following year, his talent was recognized at the professional level when he was selected 19th overall in the first round of the 1980 NBA Draft by the Utah Jazz. The late sports writer Ralph Wiley said, "John is not a point guard, but a point rock because of his sturdy and solid play." In recognition of his outstanding career and contribution to Georgetown basketball, John Duran was inducted into the Georgetown University Hall of Fame.
John Duran, we welcome you to the 2025 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
Ah, boy. I'm actually kind of nervous up here. Because the last time I stood in front of these many white people, I was in the lineup. I'm just kidding, kid. Come on, have a sense of humor. God damn, it's 2025. I'd like to thank, the committee, whoever voted me in, because I'm almost 70. Y'all just finding out I could play. It took y'all that long. I mean, come on, I had all the records. What was y'all looking at? Look here, let me be serious for a minute. This time in my life, and we all know things are rough and people are struggling. It's all about family. It's all about team. My whole thing has been teamwork. My family is here, my sisters and brothers and my daughters and everybody's here. And I want to share some things with you. Sergeant Quarter projects, we in the house, baby. We up in this joint. We in here now. Woo, 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 woo. They couldn't keep us out, baby. We found it, met it. We made it now, baby. Check that out. The projects in the house. Dunbar in here. There you go. My Georgetown crew. My CLB crew. My Mackin crew. We in here. Good. Let me stop acting like a clown. But truly speaking from my heart, thanks for everybody for coming out. Because like Jay-Z always said, you could be anywhere, but you're in here with me. Okay, you're in here with us. Family is so important. And none of us got here by ourselves. None of us. We all had mentors and like a navigation system. Go this way, this and that, go that way. But one of the things I want to speak on is my turning point when I was about maybe 7 or 8. My big brother, who is Eddie, he's sitting here now. And I used to go, if you look at Barry Farms now, you look at that used to be down number 2 Boys Club. And my older brother, Eddie, was a pretty good player. I think I was like 8. I think he was like 10 or 11. And they would pack the backyard, him and another guy named Keith Bird. So the word in town was, who's the best 12-year-old, Eddie Dorn or Keith Bird? I mean, y'all used to battle. Y'all used to battle, and that really motivated them. My next older brother, Lonnie, he was a heisler. Eddie was a defensive player, and Lonnie shot all the time. And that also motivated me to be aggressive. But the biggest thing now I want to speak on is we need more mentors. We need more people. Me and my brother, we down at number 2 Boys Club down by Surgeon Quarters, running basketball camps and things like that. And, if you guys can help, we need to help, because I don't truly believe these 14 and these 15-year-old kids are monsters. They're not monsters. They want to play that role. They want to blame everything on the kids. But let's tell them we had something to do with that. So if you can kind of help out, I heard Draymond Green speaking on how basketball is not a poor man's sport no more. And I remember back in the Pan American Games, and Bobby Knight said something that was so true, because we was having problems out of the tennis shoe companies. When we was in Puerto Rico, they was walking through the village and trying to get everybody money to wear the shoes. And Bobby Knight said, one day they're going to ruin basketball. And I think it's at that point now where if your kid is not 7 foot tall, or the mom or the dad don't have a lot of money to spend in AAU, to pay and take trips and all that stuff, they really can't play. So we're going to have to get back to guys like us and me and my brothers and other people coming back. I know some of the shoe hustlers. I said, but put something back. Bring a shooting machine back. I mean, you're taking the kids and you're taking them everywhere. You come in here, come on back and do some things for the kids like that. That's one of the biggest things, because them voting, we're going to lock up kids for 14 years old for 100 years. Are y'all crazy? We all know when we was 14. I know when I was young, I looked for all the direction. Playing ball, Jodine Davis, tell you that story. It was my high school coach. And my 10th grade year, I played the 2. Me and my brother was in the backcourt. I think I got like 4 letters, maybe 4 or 5 letters. In my 11th grade year, Stacy Robbie came. He was the hero. And they pushed me to the power forward. I ain't but 5 feet tall. How am I play power forward? Then they said, well, you power forward. Stacy's coming, okay? Make your mind up. You can sit on the bench or you can play power forward. Guess what? I'll wear some stack heels. So we had a good team. Stacy ranked number 3 in the country. And one thing, guys, the guys who played against me from the 70s, I'm going to tell you the 70s. If Delonte and all the guys, Tracy, stand up. The guys who played in the 70s, stand up. All right, now, y'all hold up. We are the guys. When the 60s rolls in, and then in the 70s, we was allowed to go to the white schools and things like that. One thing, we had so much pressure on us to be successful, to go to school and not steal the computers out of the hallway and all that stuff. Because that was the MO that we had. And like I tell you, the DMV, when those guys came down from New York and Philly and Chicago, man, we ran them back out of here, didn't we? We say, take North Capitol Street to Rhode Island Avenue, and then you go to 50, you go hit 295 and get on up street. All right, fellas, get on out of here with all that. We don't hear none of that Philadelphia, that New York, the DMV. We run this. Okay. Yes, sir. We run this, and it's a thing. Whereas my senior year, Stacy is gone, my brother Lonnie is gone, and I'm riding with my coach Joe Dean Davis, who I love to death. And he says to me, "I'm gonna put you at point guard." I was like, "Point guard? I can't hardly dribble. What do you mean, point guard? You can dribble. Tonight, you playing point guard." Okay, fine. It was a match made in heaven. We played up Jelliff. I played so well. When he got back in the car, he told me, he said, "I'm gonna tell you right now, as a point guard, you're a #1 draft choice in the NBA." I was like, "Yeah, right. Can you go over there to the 7-Eleven, get me a couple of sodas?" But after my senior year, guess what happened? Bay Door showed up. Right? And the rest is history. Because once you get that confidence that you can do it, can't nobody stop you. But in my life, it has a lot of up and downs. I like to take my man Paul Fuquay, he's CL Business, for coming. He was the first guy that kind of taught me how to sell. And I remember we went on a sale meeting, me and Paul, and I kept criticizing the guy. And "Oh man, that's nothing. He get back in the car. He said, "Why you kept saying that?" I said, "That's garbage. But you telling the man he's stupid, because he already bought it." That do make sense. Right? That do make sense. So in my lifetime, we all have people who lift us up and tell us go this way, that way. The key to it is you got to listen. You got a lot of people now, they stubborn, they don't want to listen. So there's been time in my life I was lost, and one of the biggest losses was when the crowd and the fans and everybody go, and now you walk in the streets as a civilian. Tell y'all a good story about a good friend of mine named Mr. Smith. This guy ran a junkyard, and for some reason, a friend of mine would always go there to the junkyard. And I started going with him, and this guy ended up being a sports guy. So we would just sit there and talk all day, all night, just in the junkyard right on L Street. Junkyard talking, this and that and that. And for some reason, he knew I was lost. Because he's asking me, "Man, where you working at?" "I don't know." "You got a job?" "I think so." So after really like a couple years when I was lost, he asked me, "What you doing today?" I said, "I ain't doing nothing." He said, "Come on, ride with me." So as we riding, and he's talking, and he takes me to this house. And he said, "You see that house right there?" And I'm looking at the house. "Yeah, I see that house." He said, "You like it?" I said, "Yeah, I like it, like that." He said, "I'm gonna tell you something. You can rent that house, live upstairs, rent the basement, and live free." And I was like, "That don't sound right. You playing?" He said, "I'm telling you. Or you can live in the basement and rent upstairs, live free, and put a couple of dollars in your pocket." Still didn't listen to him. Okay, fine. As the years went on, when things got really bad, he took me to the house I'm in today, pulled up and say, "You like that house?" And had about 15 guys selling birds. Birds, y'all. It's them drugs. So I look at the house. He said, "I could sell you the house for a good price." I was like, "How much?" He said, go see if you like it. He said, what dudes in the front? I said, you got the key? Give me the key. I went over there. I said, excuse me, fellas, I'm going to need to get in this door right here. And they got in the door, and I turned around. He said, yeah, I'm going to sell you that house for a good price. He sold me the house. It's the same house I live in right now. But what I didn't know, now this is what I didn't know, this guy was a real estate genius. This guy, what you see on U Street today, on 9th Street, 11th Street, he owned all that. He became my hero because he taught me, and I didn't understand. He said one of the things about athletes, they never learn how to make money. The agents and everybody do everything for you, and then here you are, you don't even know how to go out and get a quarter. So he taught me the game on how to make money. His wife is here now, Miss Rose. Thank you for your, thank you. Thank you for letting me earn this. Because without Ernest, I sure would have a ski mask on. Get up, y'all. Get up, get up. Put it in the bag, put it in the bag. Put it right there, right there. Yeah, that's good, yeah. Yeah, give me that watch, give me that bracelet, give me that bracelet. No, I'm just bullshit. But it did, but it saved my life. And I want to tell some of these guys, man, me and my brothers, we down there number 2. If y'all can come back and give some help, we'll sure appreciate it. Because we got to save these kids' lives. We can't listen to these people talking about they animals, they monsters. They 12 and 13 years old. Okay, thank you.
All right, Bebe talked a lot about mentors, as did Randolph, and it's who we are. That's why so many people stood up earlier. I think if you drew a chart, we'd all somehow be connected to this next inductee, maybe the mentor of the DMV in terms of who's in this room, for sure. We are all connected to him, either through his playing days, through his refereeing days. Let's watch a video and welcome our inductee, Jim Howell. Mr. Jim Howell.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, Jim Howell.
Jim Howell, affectionately known as Beanie, was a standout athlete and respected educator whose impact on DC basketball spans generations. A first-team All-Met selection in 1957, while starring at Archbishop Carroll High School, Howell was the driving force behind a squad ranked number 4 in the area. The Washington Star once praised him as possessor of perhaps the best jump shot among area players and called by many the finest player ever at Carroll. Also, fast and aggressive and a fine playmaker, better than average on defense, and one who can be depended on to steady a team when the going gets tough. The 6-foot guard turned down a football scholarship to Notre Dame to pursue basketball, and he made an immediate impact in college, scoring 26 points in a 1959 Mason-Dixon Conference playoff win over Loyola College as a freshman. Following college, Howell's love for the game led him to officiating. After 6 years working youth and junior high and high school games, Jim broke into the college ranks in 1968. His excellence and professionalism earned him assignments at 4 NCAA Final Fours: 1973, 1974, 1978, and 1981, including officiating the NCAA championship games in 1973 and 1974. In doing so, he made history as the first African American to referee an NCAA men's basketball championship, overseeing the UCLA versus Memphis State title game in 1973. Despite a prestigious offer from the NBA in 1973, Howell chose to remain dedicated to his true calling, education. Over a 31-year career with DC Public Schools, including 14 years as principal of Taft Junior High, he made a profound difference in the lives of thousands of students. As Jim once said, "Those kids are where I measure myself. Refereeing is just a way to give back something to a game I love." Howell's legacy has been honored with inductions into the Archbishop Carroll's Athletic Hall of Fame in 2008 and the District of Columbia State Athletic Association Hall of Fame in 2019, a fitting tribute to a life committed to excellence on the court and in the classroom.
Jim Howell, we welcome you to the 2025 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
First and foremost, I'd like to recognize my brother, who's all over here from Atlanta, Georgia, to visit and take place of this very important ceremony. On behalf of my father and the entire Howell and Marshall family, we would like to thank the Washington, D.C. Basketball Hall of Fame for recognizing my father for his lifetime achievements. And we thank you for this honor. He was not only a great basketball player, referee, teacher, mentor, and father, he was a trailblazer in his own right, as you all know. He opened the doors for those who looked like him to follow. He was never one to accept praise himself, but was always concerned with helping and bringing others along with him. Thanks again, Basketball Hall of Fame. Greatly appreciate it.
Our next winner, and so deserving, Randolph, absolutely you deserve to be here. And again, as Rick has noted with our committee, we're catching up a little bit. We're catching up a little bit. When he first took over, there were omissions. This is a hard one to get into. But everyone is so deserving. Next winner went to locally. The video will tell you everything, but then he went to Princeton, played for the great Pete Carrill, who famously said, "The strong take from the weak, and the smart take from the strong." I don't know what that means, but there's a lot of Princeton people here. And I was hoping maybe they would think highly of me because I was able to make that quote. But he did say it. I didn't understand. I don't know how you understand his offense. Anyways. All right, let's welcome John Hummer. Let's watch the video.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, John Hummer.
John Hummer's high school basketball career at Washington and Lee High School in Arlington, Virginia, was nothing short of exceptional. A three-time All-Met selection, Hummer capped his prep career by leading Washington and Lee to a Virginia State Championship in his senior year, and they ranked number 6 in the metro area, firmly establishing himself as one of the top players in the area. Hummer chose to continue his academic and athletic journey at Princeton University, where he became a cornerstone of the Tigers basketball team. Under legendary coach Pete Carrill, he helped lead Princeton to the 1967-68 Co-Ivy League championship and followed it up with an outright title in 1968 and 69. A consistent force on both ends of the court, Hummer was a three-time All-Ivy League selection. First team in 1969 and 1970 and second team in 1968, and served as the team captain during his senior year. Hummer was a foundational figure in the early years of Coach Carroll's Ivy League dynasty, which would go on to produce 13 Ivy League championships. In 1970, Hummer made history when he was selected 15th overall in the first round of the NBA draft by the newly formed Buffalo Braves, becoming the franchise's first ever draft pick. He went on to play 6 seasons in the NBA. He donned uniforms for the Buffalo Braves, Chicago Bulls, and Seattle Supersonics.
John Hummer, we welcome you to the 2025 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
Somebody said that all of us who are receiving today and other people here, we didn't get here by ourselves, and that is so true. I was, blessed to have a nice family. I had great parents. Actually, my parents never pushed me into anything. I had a brother and a sister. My brother's here, watched over me. And I had teammates that really helped me as well, and some of them are here. My high school, my good friend John Carroll, we won the Virginia State title with me, and I have 3 Princeton friends here as well, Dominic Michelle and Tommy Chestnut, and who else is here? And John Arbogast. Dominic can still shoot, by the way. 77, he can still shoot. I really was lucky in life. I remember trying out for the 9th grade team in the 7th grade, and the coach let me make the team. I then had a high school coach that taught me how to play defense, and then, as was mentioned, I played for Pete Carrill. Pete taught me a lot about basketball. Taught me a lot about life too. I'm so happy to see Steve Turner here being inducted. Good coaches, sometimes they have to tell you things that you don't want to hear, and Pete didn't have any problem in that area. And by the way, Steve, I got to give him a shout out. He coached my little nephew, my brother's younger son. I say little nephew, he's 6'6" and weighs 250 now. And then in the pros, my first coach was Dolph Shays, and Dolph was a wonderful man and a wonderful player. And I ended my career in Seattle, where I played for Bill Russell. And I will tell you one Bill Russell story before I sit down. But when I think of DC basketball, I grew up in Virginia, right over at Keith Bridge, Arlington. And, growing up, we heard all the names, George Leftwich, John Thompson, John Austin, Dave Bing. I remember the first time I went over, I think I was in the 9th grade, and my brother and I and Bill Bradley went over to the P Street playground looking for a game. We all do. And there was Dave Bing, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'd never seen such an athlete. But we were in Virginia. I had a high school coach that really wanted us to excel, and so we played in the Jealous Boys Club Summer League, which really was the best summer league, I think, in the country. And DeMatha, it was DeMatha's home court. That's all I'm going to say. And Morgan Wooten, ran the show. But in 1962, my brother's team at Washington Lee won the Jealous Boys Club title against DeMatha. And the reason I remember that game, I was like in the 8th or 9th grade, and although Washington Lee won, the game really should have had an asterisk by it, because I want you to think about this, in 1962, in Washington, D.C., the Jealous Boys Club was segregated. 1962. Think about that. Lucky for everyone, in 1963, the scourge of segregation ended. And for me, it was just fabulous. For everybody else. But now I got to play against Collis Jones, who I see here, Austin Carr, Sid Catlett, rest his soul, Bernard Williams. But I remember watching that game where Washington Lee beat DeMatha. And outside the fence, looking in, were 2 black players. And one was Bernard Williams. And I'm here to tell you, that guy could play. He could really play. So there's a lot of history here. I'll tell you one Bill Russell story that I think you'll enjoy. In 1970, I was drafted in the first round by Buffalo. Now, Buffalo, I was like the 15th player pick, so I managed to sneak in the first round. But the first player in the draft was Bob Lanier. And it was Lanier, Maravich, Tomjanovich, Cowens, a really a good class. Jeff Petrie, my roommate at Princeton, who later was the Rookie of the Year. Anyway, the Pistons, the Detroit Pistons, picked Bob Lanier. And I don't know if you rest his soul, he's gone, but he was very skilled, very skilled. He had his strong, tough, he could shoot, really, really good hands. So the Pistons owner hired Russ. Bill had just retired in 1969. He hired to sort of coach Bob before the season started. And Bob went to St. Bonaventure, so I was up in Buffalo. So anyway, we ended up on a playground together. Russell, Lanier, and Russ is trying to show Bob some stuff. And look, Bob had a lot of skills, but he was rest his soul, he was a little bit of a wise ass. And so anyway, kind of at the end of playing for about an hour, Bob looks at Russ and said, Billy, you can't shoot. you know, you got bad hands. And Russell looked at him, he said, yeah, I know they're incomplete. I got 10 fingers and 11 world championship rings. Anyway, I love telling that story, but really, I'll tell you one other story. You know, as I mentioned, the Jealous Boys Club is when finally the guys in Virginia, at least our high school, could go over, and I really became friends with Sid Catlett. You know, by the way, the guys at Washington Lee, we have a love-hate relationship with DeMatha. Okay, but and Sid and I, but rest his soul, we became friends. And I'm about to go to college, and so I asked Sid, "Hey, where can we get a good run?" He said, "Come on over to Kelly Miller." Now, remember, I'm living in Virginia. I don't know where Kelly Miller is, but if you've ever read Elgin Baylor's autobiography, which I really recommend you reading, it's fabulous. Kelly Miller is where Elgin Baylor first played against Will Chamberlain. So there's a lot of history there. Anyway, so there's no Google Maps. I'm living in Arlington, Virginia. My mom has an old beat up Plymouth. I'm trying, I got one of these fold out maps. I'm trying to find it. And so I show up, and sure enough, I find it. And surprise, surprise, I'm the only white guy there. It's when I looked at the program, it's kind of like today, you know? So, anyway, but you know, all the players there welcomed me with open arms. And it's one of the great things about sports, and certainly one of the great things about basketball is nobody cares what color you are. That's so really, they just care, can you play? And that's all they care about. So I'm really honored. I'm really touched by this. So thank you for inviting me to your party, really.
This next inductee, I've known probably since he was 15, as so many of us here have. What a great teammate, not just on the court, but in life. Always there with a smile and a grin, and such a buoyant personality and a positive guy. And it just shows you how important teammates are from far and wide. Many of his Notre Dame teammates from the Final Four team in his 4 years playing at Notre Dame are here today. Our next inductee, Tracy Jackson. Let's watch his video.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, Tracy Jackson.
Tracy Jackson is widely regarded as one of the most complete players to ever emerge from Montgomery County. A two-time All-Met selection, Jackson dominated his senior year in 1977. He averaged an incredible 30 points, 16 rebounds, and 5 assists a game. He won a state championship for Paint Branch High School, shooting 16 for 20 from the field for 34 points. His high school team was ranked number 6 in the DMV, and Tracy was named Washington Post Player of the Year. In that same year, he earned national recognition, being selected to the Parade All-American team, and named to the inaugural McDonald's All-American game in 1977. Legendary coach Digger Phelps recruited Jackson to Notre Dame, where the 6'5" swingman became part of a powerhouse freshman class that included Kelly Tripucka, Orlando Woldridge, Stanley Wilcox, and Gilbert Salinas. Together, they compiled a remarkable 4-year record of 92-28, and they made 4 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances. Notre Dame was ranked in the top 10 nationally every single season. Jackson's stellar college career led to his selection in the 1981 NBA Draft, where he was picked in the second round, 25th overall.
Tracy Jackson, we welcome you to the 2025 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
I just want to say thank you so much. Praise the Lord, by the way. Give him the glory. Give him the glory. Glory. My wife and I were walking up here today, and the heavens opened up. Beautiful day. I've had a great week with some fellow classmates, my roommates, Stan Wilcox, Terry Pfaff, Billy Varner. These guys have had me out late all night. I'm not 22 anymore, but I love them. dearly. The best part about being here is just being able to share this with your family and friends, really. And at this time, I want to have my wife, Kelly Jackson, stand. Give her honor. Speaking of family, true story, our first date was actually out on the basketball court. She tried to take a shot against me. I knocked the shot down, knocked her down unintentionally, saved it from going out of bounds, went coast to coast, hit the layup, bam. She looks back at me, she said, "Man, are you crazy? Come on, come on." And the rest has been history, by the way. So I'm just a very fortunate and blessed man to have her in my life, and so many other teammates. Hey, I grew up in Burtonsville, Maryland, Paint Branch High School, Montgomery County kid. Hank Galata was my coach. He was also coach of DeMatha, coached Kenny Carr, and he came over to Paint Branch with a winning tradition. He really did. Had me playing on the varsity team as a skinny freshman back then, Elwood. You remember that? And one of the toughest phone calls I had to make was after not playing a whole lot. I went home after a game and I said, "Coach, you really have to bring me down to the JV team because I want to play. I want to show you what I can do." And he said, that phone call lasted all but a minute. He says, "You know what? Nope, you're going to sit right here next to me on the bench and you're going to be patient and you're going to learn." And that was words of advice that has lasted me for all of my life right now. After Paint Branch, I had a chance to play in the Capital Classic. McDonald's Capital Classic here. We had a chance to play against some great ball players, Magic Johnson, Jeff Lamp, some of those guys I got a chance to play against in college as well as the pros, played in the Albert Schweitzer games. Just got to get to know them really well. That was a blessing. And then I was heavily recruited and had opportunity to sign and go to the University of Notre Dame. Notre Dame fans in here. I just have one thing to say about Notre Dame, just wow. The friends, the family, and football, by the way, just all in one. Just a great opportunity to go out and play for a major college team. The D.C. region has been so connected to the University of Notre Dame. I mean, our past president, Monk Malloy, presided as president for 25 years. He elected me on the trustee board, which was an honor for me. But I just wanted to be with winners, by the way. When I look around here, I've got guys at my table like Collis Jones, who played with Austin Carr, Donald Duck Williams, Cecil Rucker at Mackin, Tom Schluby at Gonzaga. They came behind me. I had to babysit those guys when they got out of Notre Dame. And of course, the list goes on and on. One of the things I have to pick with, a bone to pick with now broadcasting, is that our teams at Notre Dame were unbelievable back in the day. I mean, UCLA and Notre Dame was such a matchup. We broke the 88-game winning streak. Remember Bill Walton? We had Shoemate on that team. And by the way, 88 games, that's a long time. I know at Carroll, they had a 55-game winning streak in high school because Monk Malloy was on that team. 88 games. They came to Notre Dame and we knocked them off. Our student body was the most valuable player. When I was a senior, by the way, I had the opportunity to play Virginia when they were number one. I had Orlando Wolves, Kelly Tripucka were our stars on the team, and we knocked them off, Ralph Sampson, and they were ranked number one. So we knew that when teams came to play us at Notre Dame, that they were in for a long battle. And one of the things that really stood out, my coach, Digger Phelps, I remember near the end of the game of the Virginia game, and we were in the huddle. We were exhausted. Orlando Woolridge actually hit that shot to win the game. But we were so exhausted not knowing how it was going to go. But Digger said that. He said, "You know what? I don't know how we're going to win this game, but we're going to win this game." And that is the fight of the Fighting Irish. When I went out there to school, Duck Williams showed me around. And it was just something there. I know a lot of the players here have, 5 or 6 visits to colleges. And I remember going to one school, and the college coach said, "Well, you know what? I'm going to show you a tape of the team, and I promised you that you will make it to the NBA." Well, I sat there with his son watching this kind of keep this secret. I don't want the names get out. And I thought to myself, is that really all that's college is all about? Really? I mean, come on now. We've got a little bit more, going for us than that. And it didn't take me long to get on a plane and come back home, by the way. I had a mother who just raised me the right way. And I still have friends right now who are just fantastic. And it's been such a connection to DC basketball. You got to remember, I was out in the suburbs. I wasn't a city kid, but I watched John Dorn. I watched Duck Williams play. I idolized these guys because of their style. I played against teams like Seneca Valley, Richard Montgomery, Blair High School. They were not only good basketball players, but they were good athletes out there. Okay, and some of my friends would tell you I always wanted to play baseball. I wanted to be the next Willie Mays, but that didn't pan out, by the way. I want to take, if you don't mind, a pause to just have my high school teammates, my college teammates, and college alumni just stand for Notre Dame because I really owe them some recognition. Please stand. All right. Boy, some of these guys have known me when I used to play in the backyard, football, touch football. It's amazing. And by the way, this has just been a beautiful day. When we were walking up here, it's been fantastic. You couldn't ask for a better day and a better gathering right here. I want to share this story with you because it really exemplifies my connection to DC basketball. I mean, we all pull for each other. When I see John Dorn here, he hasn't changed a lick. He was laughing and joking when we took the All-Met pictures. And I'm like, look at you. Some things never change, and we're glad they don't change. Wonderful guy. But I had the opportunity to meet AZ Fudd this year in the airport. Some of you all know. So those who don't, she's St. John's High School graduate. Played for University of Connecticut, is going to play again, had knee surgery or whatever, came back. And, with the celebrity of going on with teams now, it's just like unbelievable. So I was in the airport and I was behind these two young ladies who were tall, and I knew that they played basketball somewhere. And I said, where do you all play? And as soon as AZ turned around, she had this big badge, AZ Fudd. Oh, AZ Fudd, of course, yes. I'm your favorite fan. I said, I was sitting here talking. I said, you were fantastic in the finals. I mean, how are your knees? Your back? I thought you were the Final Four MVP. I know that Paige Bueller was good, right? But AZ, I mean, she could go inside, outside, right? Christy, can I get an amen on that? Yes. And so, at that time, the conversation kind of turned a little bit. And I was like, well, AZ, I played a little ball back in the day. Played at Paint Branch High School. And she says, oh, well, that's nice. That's nice. Notre Dame, Chicago Bulls. And for some reason, I just wasn't connecting with AZ. I really don't think she was interested in my statistics. She really wasn't. But she was gracious. She was very gracious. And she said, well, that's very nice. And I was humbled. That's what happens when you get older. I even called Kelly. I said, I should have got her autograph. She said, no, you shouldn't have gotten her autograph. But I laughed then and I laugh now because really we all had our glory days. You got some unbelievable talent in here. I mean, just to meet some of these ladies and gentlemen, it just warms my heart. But really, the big blessing of it all is the relationships, really. I've got guys over here at the table that we went to school for a relatively short period of time, like 3 or 4 years, but we've been friends for 40 years. Figure that out. I can call Benny Johnson up in Gatesburg and he calls me and says, hey, let's get together for breakfast. Or I can look at a Duck Davis out in Rockville and he's putting together a Montgomery County picnic, for the guys who played ball. Or wherever Brian Maggett is, we were talking during the NBA Finals, and we were trying to figure out why the Indiana Pacers can't get it going. So these are friends that just pour into my life, and I'm just so blessed. And I hope I do the same for you guys. In closing, I will say that I think this AZ Fudd thing is not over with yet. I really don't, because I think once she gets a hold of the Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame here, She's going to say, Tracy, why didn't you tell me? Come on, come on, come on, come on. Thank you guys so much. God bless you, and I love you.
This next gentleman, who's not able to join us, but his sister is here to accept on his behalf. How did he not get in? David Robinson, how is he not in yet? Johnny, sorry, you're right. You should have been in a long time ago. You're right. But David Robinson? I mean, that's one of the omissions, but we've got to correct it, we think. But the only thing I can think of, there was somebody on the original committee that kept saying, what did he do in high school? What did he do in high school? Because he didn't do much. So, well, that guy's been fired. But anyways, long overdue, like many of you guys tonight. We're getting this right. Next inductee, again, won't be able to join us, but Kimberly is here. But let's watch the video on David Robinson.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, David Robinson.
David Robinson was an all-county basketball player at Osborne Park High School in the suburbs of Washington. Although he showed clear potential, he attracted little interest from college basketball programs. Well, that would soon change, as Robinson went on to become widely regarded as the greatest basketball player in the history of the U.S. Naval Academy. Robinson entered college with no expectations of playing in the NBA, but by his final 2 seasons at Navy, he developed into a dominant force, earning consensus All-American honors and winning college basketball's 2 most prestigious individual awards, the Naismith and Wooden Awards. In 1986, Robinson led Navy, a number 7 seed, to the brink of the Final Four before falling to Duke in the East Regional Final. Upon graduation, he became eligible for the 1987 NBA draft and was selected first overall by the San Antonio Spurs. Due to his military commitment, he didn't join the Spurs until 1989. Robinson was a revolutionary big man, combining elite mobility and speed and ball handling skills rarely seen in a center. He possessed soft hands, was a dominant two-way player, and was just as capable of throwing down powerful dunks as he was of sinking mid-range jump shots. On defense, he was a fearsome rim protector and a versatile shot blocker. Over the course of his 987-game NBA career, Robinson averaged 21 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks, and 2 assists per game. He's one of the selected few players in league history to score over 20,000 career points. David is also one of only 4 players to record a quadruple-double, tallying 34 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 blocks. That was against the Detroit Pistons on February 17th, 1994. Robinson is also among a rare group of players to score 70 or more points in a single game. He achieved this remarkable feat by scoring 71 against the Los Angeles Clippers. In 2022, in honor of the NBA's 75th anniversary, The Athletic ranked Robinson as the 20th greatest player in NBA history. David arguably was one of the quickest and fastest running 7-foot big man in the history of the NBA.
The 2025 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame proudly welcomes 3-time Olympic basketball medalist known as the Admiral, David Robinson.
David just wanted to, number one, give all honor and glory to God. Number two, he is honored to be nominated for this award through the Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame. And he wishes he was here, and so do I. And that's it.
497, 176 in the toughest league in the country, no question. And it's a real school with real academics and real accountability, which he had something to do with enforcing on a daily basis. Many times successful in the league, many times the league champ, and many times coach of the year. Let's look at this video on Steve Turner from Gonzaga High School.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2025 Hall of Fame inductee Steve Turner.
Steve Turner took over Gonzaga's varsity team in 2004, inheriting a proud and successful program from longtime coach Dick Myers. Under Turner's leadership, the Eagles garnered national acclaim. But the coach, a Montgomery Blair graduate, always cared most about winning in his hometown. A fiery competitor, he relished the intensity of the Washington Catholic Athletic Conference, one of the country's most talented and competitive high school basketball leagues. Turner coached dozens of D1 prospects in his 21 years at the helm. He won the first of his 4 WCAC titles in 2008. He was named Gatorade's National Coach of the Year in 2016 and the Washington Post All-Met Coach of the Year. He left Gonzaga with a record of 497 and 176, and a broad network of alumni playing across all levels of basketball. As his own program climbed the local and the national ladders over the past decade, his former assistant coach, Eric Singletary, has had to face his former boss in several high-stakes meetings. Earlier this year, Gonzaga topped Sidwell to win the D.C. Athletic Association Championship. It also snapped the Quakers' streak of 3 straight titles. The win was Turner's third and final D.C. title. Turner produced a steady stream of Division I players over the years, molding all-Met talents like Tyler Thornton, who went to Duke, Chris Jenkins from Villanova, and Chris Likes from the University of Miami. His final season, the Eagles were led by a starting lineup of 5 D1-bound senior prospects. The Eagles, at 29-5, finished as DC champions, WCAC runner-up, and number 2 team in the Washington Post rankings. Turner was named WCAC Coach of the Year for the 6th time. He's a legend, said Terrence Williams II, who played for Gonzaga. He leaves a legacy at Gonzaga, and I think when people will talk about his teams, they'll say they were disciplined, they stayed within a system, and it worked.
Steve Turner, we welcome you to the 2025 Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame.
I'm very humbled by being up here today, because most of the time in my life, you usually see someone get this opportunity to be here after they're done, and then they get their flowers. Well, it's funny because Pete, he's up here. I always say he missed his call because he should have been a comedian. But, and the reason I bring that up is because how I learned that I was being inducted into this year's Hall of Fame. He calls me, and I was driving, and I was kind of into some things, and I was like, all right, I got to call Pete back. And I was like, nah, let me just answer it. So when I answer, he tells me, hey, I got to get Rick Brown on the phone. We need to tell you something. And they tell me that I'm being inducted into Hall of Fame. So the first thing I'm thinking is I'm being Ashton Kutcher. This is Pete. He's playing one of those jokes because I felt like it's probably too early. My career's still going on. I'm still on the bench, trying to do the thing that I've always wanted to do, which was mentor and mold young men. And baby, I echo your sentiments. We have to be better at being mentor to our young men and women on these streets today. And I'll be honest with you, the way that our country's going, probably to some adults too. I need y'all to bear with me because there's a lot of people I need to thank. I don't stand here by myself. I stand on the shoulders of many others. And a lot of that comes from opportunity. The opportunity that I was given to have a chance to be the head coach of Gonzaga didn't come easy. I went up in that committee at that time against college coaches and some of the best high school coaches the DMV has ever produced. And luckily, I was told I was the next guy. And I took over for a man who gave me an opportunity, who did it really, really well for 29 years on I Street, and that's Coach Myers. who I really wish could have been here today, but I understand his situation and why he couldn't travel. But he reaches out every week, at least every other week. I know that call's coming, especially around November 8th. That's the WCAC start date. I know that week I'm getting a call. And when he found out that I was joining his fraternity, he reached out and gave me a lot of love. And so I thank him and I appreciate him for that. Others on I Street that I want to thank. The first one is a guy who I thought was going to be here today, but I don't think he got to show up. Bill Whitaker. Bill Whitaker in this DMV is one of the best connectors of people. And he's been a mentor of mine and always stuck with me behind the scenes, but always there to lend me a helping hand whenever I needed it. And so I want to say thank you to him. And at Gonzaga, if I start tearing up, please give me a second. But a couple of years ago, we lost a special one by the name of Joe Rader, our athletic director. He was the last person to my hiring at Gonzaga. And to have a brother like him that I knew I could count on at any time, and it didn't matter whether we were winning or losing, that he always had my back, something that was really, really special. And I know he's shining down and looking down on me today, as a big brother would. And so I just want to say thank you to him. My thanks at home. I'm a product of, some of what we have had around in this world is broken homes, fatherless houses. But my rock has always been my mom. And she played that role of mom and dad for a long, long time. And I have to also thank my dad, who's I'm gonna make a church lady blush, who back then was her friend. But his friend kept hanging around. And eventually, the way it should be, they became one. And I've never had a man in my life, outside of the coaches I've had, be that father figure. So I thank you, Dad. I appreciate you. I don't think any of us get to the places we get to without having a village. And my village has continued to grow and grow and grow. But the formation of it has always been my best friends and my siblings and my family. And some of them who are here tonight, my main man, Leo, and his wife, they came up from Miami to be here to support me. And I thank you guys so much. My blood sister and my other sister, here to support tonight really, really means a lot. And I'm saving the best for last, so just know I haven't missed my wife. But I don't get here without, as coaches know, the Jimmies and Joes. So every young man that I have had a chance to coach on I Street, they're the reason why I'm here. Like, they're trusting me, their ability at times in their lives to let me be that second/third parent in their life, because that's the one promise I always made to any kid that ever came into our program, was that I'm going to treat you no different than I treat my own two boys, and I'm going to put my foot in your butt when you're not doing right, but I'm going to put my arms around you all the time, and you're going to know I love on you. And that's the way I've done it. I've never looked at myself sitting in the chair as the guy with the crown on his head. My job was to always serve. I feel like I've stood on the bottom, just trying to uplift people and push them up. And that's something I will continue to do for the rest of my life, and especially as I sit in the seat as a head coach. Along with them is my coaches, the coaches who've coached in my program, the ones who've sat on the bench next to me, and the ones who've coached in our younger programs, our JV, our freshmen. They're a big part of this. This award today goes out to them just as well. It's not just a me award, it's a we award. And it's how I coach the game. It's always been about we and never about me. My two sons, Jared and Christian, who I've got to thank them a lot because they lost many hours of me as I've given to so many others. But they've always trusted, respected it, but it allowed me to be the man that I am, giving to others and knowing that no matter what, Dad's got our back. And so They're not here tonight, but I want to be able to say to them, thank you. Last but not least, my wife, Leah Turner. My best friend, has been my best friend forever. Back to me picking on her in band class and at Eastern Middle School. I am DMV all the way. Forest Knolls Elementary, Eastern Middle School, Montgomery Blair High School. You heard that, Brian? I know I'm only now on this up here today because you were on the committee. Because it seems like everything else had to lead back to DeMatha. And it's funny because my senior year, I was coached by a guy who coached at DeMatha, Dave Skaggs, who I'll tell everybody, Dave should have been a soccer coach. That was his sport. But he went in on the interview at Blair, had this little note in his resume, second, third coached for the JV team at DeMatha. He ended up becoming the head coach at DeMatha, at Blair. And then, I think a lot of people don't know this. Pete will, and I'm sure some of the other DeMatha guys will. Morgan Wooten is a Montgomery Blair graduate who also started his high school career as a student at Gonzaga High School. So the guy that we keep leading roads back to, it started at Gonzaga and Blair. I just want to say thank you. I want to say congratulations to all of the inductees today. We join an unbelievable fraternity, something that we should all cherish and always be able to represent to the fullest. I mean, to be able to be in the lights of people like Morgan Wooten, Dick Myers, John Thompson, for me as a coach, it was some big shoes to fill. And I'm going to continue to do it the way that I've been doing it, just trying to give back, continuing to serve, and be the man that I am today. Thank you.
Our next inductee and final inductee, certainly not by merit, is again, should have been in a while. And remarkably, the biggest discussion we had with our committee with Christy was, is she going in as a player? Is she going in as a coach? Is she going in as a media person? She's done it all. She's done it all. And then our biggest discussion was, does she have a hyphen between Winters and Scott or no hyphen? So that took us 3.5 days. So we're pretty efficient. We finally got to the bottom of it. But before we honor Christy and bring her up, let's watch a video. Christy, Winters, Scott.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, Christy Winters Scott.
A legendary figure in DMV basketball, hails from Reston, Virginia, where she started South Lakes High School. Widely regarded as the greatest female player in school history, Winters Scott led South Lakes to an undefeated 29-0 season and the 1986 Virginia AAA State Championship. In that same year, she was named All-Met Player of the Year. She averaged 23 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 blocks a game. Her high school career totals were 1,785 points, 1,075 rebounds, and 492 blocks. They remain among the best in Virginia history. Fellow South Lakes Hall of Famer Grant Hill once said, "It feels good to be recognized as the male Christy Winters." Winters Scott earned a scholarship to the University of Maryland, where she became one of the most accomplished players in Terrapin's history from 1986 to 1990. She finished her career ranked number 2 all-time in scoring, with 1,679 points and 4th in rebounds with 723. A key contributor to Maryland's 1989 ACC championship and Final Four run, she was named First Team All-ACC and Kodak All-East Regional as a senior. Winters Scott remains one of only 2 players in Maryland women's basketball history with over 700 career field goals. After college, Christy played professionally in Italy and Switzerland, averaging 37 points and 12 rebounds a game, and once scoring a career-high 48 points in a Euro Cup game. Transitioning into coaching, Winters Scott served as an assistant at George Mason, Maryland, and Georgetown before returning home to lead South Lakes High School in 2005. Inheriting a winless team that went 0-21 the previous year, she transformed the program into a winner. By 2009, South Lakes posted a 19-4 record, and in 2013, she led them to their first state tournament appearance since her own title run back in 1986. In that same year, she was honored as the Fairfax County Women in Sports Coach of the Year, recognized as the top female coach in the county across all sports. Winter Scott also became a respected voice in broadcasting. While still coaching, she began producing and hosting segments for the Round Ball Report on CTV 76. Her presence and basketball IQ quickly caught the attention of larger media platforms. In 2012, she became part of the Washington Wizards broadcast team and has since provided commentary for both men's and women's college basketball on Comcast Sportsnet and other major outlets.
The Washington Metropolitan Basketball Hall of Fame is proud to honor this year's 2025 Hall of Fame inductee, Christy Winters Scott.
Thank you to so many people, but first, as a preacher's kid, my dad passed 6 years ago now. He was a pastor, and this is a Sunday, so no guarantees on how long I'll be. No, I'm just joking, because not only is the football team playing, but it's a WNBA playoff day, but you all knew that already because everyone watches women's sports. Okay, yeah, we knew that already. Okay. But honestly, I would first like to thank God for his incredible grace and mercy along life's journey, as the journey continues to indeed be the dream. And that's a quote. I gave a quote every day as a coach at South Lakes, and that was definitely one of my favorite ones, because you're not thinking about the outcome of things. You're thinking about the process and the purpose in that process. So the journey definitely is continuing to be the dream in that regard. I have some very special people here today to share in this moment with me. Two of my three children, that's a high percentage for me, so that's good, especially since they're all older now, and it's not empty nest, it's re-nesting is what I've changed the narrative to. But my oldest son, Jerome Scott Jr. is here. He is the sweetest young man and is in the workforce as a diligent worker every single day, on time, on target, and doing his work. He cut a net at South Lakes too, so shout out to that. My daughter, Brianna Scott, is an graduate at Georgetown University, but she is completing her 5th year of studies at Georgetown for her master's degree, but she is also a member of the women's basketball team at Georgetown. So if you're ever in the area, number 15 on the program, number 1 in my heart, though, my girl. It's my baby. And the youngest of our group, he's busy in East Lansing, Michigan right now, as he is a freshman with Tom Izzo's team at Michigan State. So busy. So he's not here today. My mom, Dr. Janice Winters, PhD. She's going to stand up because we love that. That's right. That's right. Hallelujah to the Lamb of God. Did you hear her say that? Did she say that? She says, you didn't say that just right there? Hallelujah to the Lamb of God. That's what my mom always, it was the clapping. I couldn't hear. I'm sure she said it though. But my mom, just the rock of our family, continuing just to provide love and grace and mercy. And hallelujah to the Lamb of God, Mommy, for you. My brother, Big Bro, Ron Winters, is in the building with his wife, Betsy, and his daughter, Sierra. My cousin, Christopher, is here along with his dad, Jim Lewis, who is my uncle, my mom's brother, sitting right there next to him. And my college coach, Hall of Fame coach, the one who taught me about Title IX, which I didn't even know about until I got to college as a freshman, which is a shame for me. But she taught us all the foundation of women in sports and how powerful that could be. And I struggled as a freshman, got my shot beat on the glass by Katrina McLean at the University of Georgia. She was a major Olympian. She came from the high post and stuck my shot to the backboard, and the dog at Georgia started barking when I was running the other way. It was like, arr, arr, and I was like, sub me out. Like, what is happening? It was traumatic because I was a shot blocker, right? I had never gotten my shot blocked like that, pinned to the glass from a distance. I saw a calf flying across my face, but it was horrible. And I saw it when I was looking out the window flying back. And I told Coach Weller, I said, Coach, I know you put me out there, but I don't know if I'm ready. And I never would have said that because I was a major competitive person. I would have never tried to take myself and acquiesce out of an opportunity to learn about myself a little more. And I went up to her and I said, hey, Coach, man, that was a rough flight back. And I all just saw that on the loop, me getting my shot blocked in the calf, and it was just too much. And she said to me, she had the Gatorade cup. Coach, I don't know if you remember, I remember explicitly. She had the Gatorade cup after practice. Everybody else had left, and I was like, this is my time. I got to go tell her. So I walked over. And I said, Coach, I don't know if I'm ready. And she sipped the Gatorade like this and had her eyebrows were furrowed. She's laughing. Her eyebrows like this. And she said, you can't come to me for confidence. You got to find it within yourself. Coach Weller, still to this day, I look myself in the mirror and I find it within myself. So I wanted to thank you for that. And Coach Weller's sister, Jackie Taylor, is here. So thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to join me today for this wonderful moment. Last but not least, I want to thank the Washington Metro Basketball Hall of Fame and Rick Brown for being inducted with this incredibly astute and revered Hall of Fame class. I just go to Randolph. I saw him earlier, and we were just talking about just gazing over the pictures. Sesame Street was one of my favorite shows, and it was like, which one of these things doesn't belong? And that came to my mind. I can't sing clearly, but just to be in that pink dress kind of stood out for me being a woman in this room, in this moment, in such a time as this, is something that I will cherish for the rest of my life. And Coach did 2 fist bumps. I love that. And that's just levels to that, so I'm good. But I also wanted to say something to David Aldridge for saying something about me. You, my friend, oh my goodness, along with Mike Wilbon and Robin Roberts, talking about mentorship. You grabbed my hand, reached down, and showed me the ropes at the NABJ conventions, which I didn't know about either. Title IX, Coach Weller taught us all about that. He taught me all about how to get started. And I'm forever grateful for that. And the tutelage along the way. Can always hit you on the line and say, DA, what do you think about this? And then in games, what about that shot? So we just have like this basketball connection. And for you to say that was off the charts. And I respect you, my friend, 5 feet 2. Appreciate you. Whew. Okay, I'm getting it. I'm sorry, I had a lump in my throat, but I'm moving on to the next thing. Okay, as a youngster, I rolled with my big bro. We're only 13 months apart, and I didn't know how close that was till I had my own babies, mommy. Anyway, y'all got it late, but you got it. Okay, but yeah, I rolled with him all the time, wanted to do everything that he did, wanted to go everywhere he went, wanted to be, if he's hooping, I'm hooping too. Like, where are you going? I'm going to hoop. I'm going. No, Mom, come get her. I'm like, I'm going. And I'm like right behind him when we go play pickup or whatever. We didn't play at, Berry Farms or anything like that. We were in Reston, Virginia. So we grew up in Sterling. My dad built a big basket hoop on our driveway. We were hooping out there. It was just the 2 of us, but then we moved to Reston. And I was 8 years old, you were 9. And we had all the friends would come over to our house because he replanted, you could do that with a hoop, but he replanted with the cement and everything, took the hoop from Sterling, took it to Reston, put it in the backyard and repotted, if you will, the basket for the backyard, even though there was a terrible root that got in the way and it sent the ball all over the place, but it was fun. But we had so many great games back there, but I was always the only girl, just like today. But it was... but it was something that, I fell in love with, right? I was getting my shot blocked to the garage door, and then I was getting my shot blocked to the fence and into the grass when I was playing with the guys, but it really helped me learn how to shoot quickly, right? Definitely out physical, definitely sometimes out quicked, but it was the quickness of mine. And I forgot about that quote you just had about the Princeton quote. What was that? Say it again real quick.
The strong take from the weak and the smart take from the strong.
That part, yeah, good, yeah. So I had to outsmart those guys because they were quicker, stronger, faster, right? So I'm like, I got to get these shots up. So I formed the turnaround jump shot that became my patented shot. And I had to get it up, and I shot it a couple times, didn't get it blocked, and I was like, oh snap. And then some of the guys were like, man, somebody's got to check her. Who's checking her? And I'm like, yeah. I got something there. I got something I could use. If I can get it on these guys, I can definitely do it when I'm playing in games. So just really appreciative, Ron, for all of that. Appreciate you letting me tag along. And in the words of my kids, sorry, bro, for being an annoyance if I was. My dad, he was amazing in terms of his outreach and his spirit. He always kept love and compassion at the forefront. My mom tagged along with him, 3 o'clock in the morning, boom. They were out the door if someone needed something, if someone needed just somebody to talk to. So it wasn't anything that they sat down and said, this is what you do, right? I witnessed it with my eyes, right? So it was the love and compassion, but all that is not just about being a great parent. It's about being great humans and caring for others. Not more than yourself, but just as much as yourself. But I think that example from my mom and my dad is something that I carry forward as a parent. I carry forward, I coached for 10 years in college as an assistant coach, and then 17 after I added it all up, because I don't add up stuff a lot, but 17 years as a head coach back at South Lakes, because I left the college ranks when I saw my babies' faces in the window when I was recruiting. If you've ever coached in college, you know the recruiting hamster wheel that it is, and you're not there. But I did that for a little bit, had to leave. And then I had my babies in the gym with me, right? So there's a way to do it. And they grew up in the gym. They were skateboarding on the ball rack, and it was just beautiful chaos with the basketballs everywhere. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we got to leave, and like 100 basketballs all over the place. I'm like, go get that ball, go get that ball. But a lot of meals in the gym on the side, because they had AAU practices after I had practice with the team. And I heard you talk about, Coach, the sacrifice of a coach, and you're there for the other kids. But there's a way to blend it in. You can be there for those kids, but you can also be there for your own kids sometimes. And there was a way that I tried to outsmart the system and the organization of how things look or how things were supposed to be. And everyone's like, why'd you leave college coaching? Like, you were in line to be a head coach in college. And I'm like, sometimes that's just not what your heart tells you to do. And I'm a proponent of following your heart. My heart was telling me to go home and be with those babies. And then the third baby came along because of that. So I was like, well, how many more are we doing? Anyway, but all three of them were in the gym. All three of them, were extremely comfortable when they were in, kindergarten, walking around in a crowded, huge doubleheader game with all this energy. And Jordan, our youngest, he just gets up. He's like 4 or 5 years old. He just gets up and starts walking. And I was like, hey, buddy, where are you going? And he's like, I want to get something to eat. I'm like, listen, this is not your house. Like, this is, but he was just that comfortable. And then for all three of them to cut a net, at least one net. Our oldest won district championship. I was honored to be able to coach Brianna at South Lakes for the girls basketball team there. Cut 2 nets with my girl. There's nothing sweeter than seeing her face and her saying that was the best day of her life. So, so far, because there's more to come for you. But to experience that with her, to be the field trip mom because I was afforded the extra time, but to be that field trip mom and then to coach those kids that I was the field trip mom for, and then to see them in the confetti and doing the angels in the confetti, that's something that I'll never forget. But that's what basketball has brought to me. Those kinds of experiences, those shared experiences, and not just the wins and losses, but the connectivity, the inclusivity, the family, the ability to do what you love and stay connected with who you love. And I think the basketball gods got it right when we were able to organize it in that way. We were talking about the pickup games and all that stuff, and was it Berry Farms or anything like that? Or I heard somebody say, go down 295, cut a left. Was that Bebe? Where's Bebe? He's right there. Bebe said, cut a left and turn down and go to L Street or whatever he said. All that. I didn't have all that. I could barely, my dad was a pastor, my mom was a PhD in education. I wasn't going too far from the house, okay? So I wasn't able to go I was never able to go to the point where I would be riding my bike to Twin Branches and it would be dark on the way back. And there's no cell phones at that time. So she's like, you can't come back when it's dark because, it's dangerous on those paths and everything like that. And I'm like, well, we had last game and, I had to stay. I wasn't leaving. I was like, waited 4 games down to get on the court. But, obviously no Instagram then, but Dennis Scott shooting from the opposite free throw line, knocking in threes. And I'm like, not fair. And then Grant Hill on that same court, I was on the same team with him, thank goodness. And that was my first time I got dunked on by Grant by being on the same team. We're on the same team. I kick it back to him, and I look up, and he crushed it on me, and everyone's running around laughing. And I was like, not fair. But it was quite a time. And even though it wasn't in the city, it was the suburbs, but it was fierce, and it was impactful for all of us. Still to this day, we talk about that, and I tell him how that was not cute. But it was super fun. For me, at South Lakes, there was no freshman basketball team, and it was only JV and varsity. So you go and you try out all together. It's just like everyone's lumped in. So I go down and I look at the list of names, which is how they did it on the door. I didn't see my name on the JV list. I'm a freshman, right? It was like probably 120 pounds, whatever, 6 foot. I was so skinny and like, I was just all arms and legs. I didn't see my name, so I saw my friends coming in to the locker room for a PE class or whatever, and they're like, oh my God, congratulations. I was like, that is so not funny. Like, I didn't make it. I saw the list. I didn't see my name or anything. They were like, no, you made the varsity. And I was like, oh my God. And I ran back, to the door and I saw my name on there and I just started screaming and I couldn't believe it. And it was quite something. Pat Bergen was the head coach that year. That's what the football field is named after now because we were in the district semifinals. Was not a good free throw shooter at that time. Worked my butt off for it, but was not a good free throw shooter at that time. They fouled me because I was a freshman, 7 seconds to go in the game. 2-point game. They call a timeout to ice me. I was already iced. They didn't even need to. Because I was like, oh my God, they found me of all people, seniors on the team and everything. They found the baby. So that was not good. So I was already feeling it all through here. It was horrible. And so we go back out. So I go through my routine, dribble, spin, dribble, spin, shoot it. And that thing was off to the left because I had this terrible side spin. And it missed. So then my coach called timeout. She was like, just miss this one because, we can get it. We have time. Just miss this one and just everybody get in for the rebound. And all that pressure left me. I was like, I have to miss it. I was like, say less. So, because I thought I didn't have all that pressure to make it. So I was like, okay. So I go back out there. I didn't even dribble it. I just stepped to the line, threw that thing up there, boom, straight in. I was like, no way, right? So they throw the ball in bounds, long pass, whatever, to my kid. Of course, I jump up, got a cramp in my calf. It was just a folly of horribleness. So we ended up losing that game by 1. And I thought it was all my fault. She came to my class maybe a week after that and looked in the window and was like, Christy, come out here. And I never really got in trouble with that. I mean, not to say I never did, but I was like, why is she asking me to come out there? I'd go out and she says to me, she said, I heard you think you lost the game for the team. And I was like, absolutely. I was on the free throw line. I'm the freshman. Seniors are like, you got this, tapping me and my throat's tightening up, And she was like, I heard you thought you lost the game. And I was like, I did. I felt that way. And she said, that could have happened in the first quarter, those free throws. That could have happened in the second half, in the third quarter sometime. Elaine could have gotten the rebound, but she didn't, right? They're all the things that factor into it. Not just the end point, which is why the journey, as I was telling you, is the dream, right? So I heard her, but I heard myself too. I was like, and I'm 14, right? So I'm like, if you have 14-year-olds, it's like, okay, Mom, you're right. I hear you, but I'm like, okay, Coach, and I respected what she said. But as the years have gone by, oh my gosh, man, if that wasn't probably the most impactful outside of find the confidence within yourself, if that wasn't one of the most impactful mentoring moments that I had, I don't know what else was, because 2 weeks after that, she was 37 years old. She passed away. She was running, had a heart attack. So for me, I'm like, she came to tell me that for a reason. So it's up to me to share that every chance I get. So every summer camp, I would say that, right? So don't wait for the end, because it's not about just the end, okay? It's about everything that happens within the game. Same for life, right? Not just what happens at the end, it's everything that you put into every single moment. That's why you have to pour in to every single moment with everything that you have, right? And it can't just be, oh, we're down, so now we got to pick it up. Coaches know. You can't wait, right? Who are we waiting on? We got to go now, right? Do your best now. Live your life now. So for her to pass right after that left an indelible mark on me in terms of how I was going to look forward and how I was going to work. And suffice it to say, get my butt on a free throw line and take those shots and get those shots in, because I never wanted to feel like that again. Even though I know it wasn't completely on my shoulders, it was a piece of it. And I didn't want to be that piece, and I didn't want to feel like that. Flash forward to Maryland. Got recruited. It was a different time, obviously. Again, no cell phones and all that stuff. A lot of phone calls, though. I talked to Coach Weller, talked to Kay Yao, talked to Debbie Ryan, talked to all these just major headliners when it comes to women's basketball, and decided to go to Maryland after I took my visit there, Coach, and I had to pissed. It was a great decision for me, because it was a winning situation in terms of mentality, right? There was accountability in place. You're going to walk in, you're going to get better. You're going to walk in, you're going to be challenged. You're going to walk in, you're going to stand up straighter, because you know what is expected of you. So, Coach Weller, again, appreciate you for that. My junior year, we went to the Final Four, and almost didn't, though, because we were at Texas, 14,000 people in there, Coach, and I get fouled with 12 seconds to go in the game. A trip to the Final Four on the line with me. Okay, I'm on the line, and they called a timeout. Texas calls timeout. They hadn't lost. They had some crazy win streak, like 40 games that had stretched into the year before, something like that. We weren't supposed to win this game. We were the other three teams that already punched their ticket to the Final Four. We were the last game of the day at 9 o'clock. Do you know how bad that was in the hotel? Just sitting there all day waiting for this game. But they fouled me, 12 seconds to go. Timeout, Texas. We go over to the bench. Coach Weller had the pen in her hand with the whiteboard, and she was like, okay, Chrissy's going to make these free throws, and you're going to make them. Look right at me. Touch my knee with the pen in her hand, and you're going to make these. And I'm like, all right. Like, done. That's all you had to say, because I knew that I needed to do that, but I also knew what happened in high school. And I also knew that I put the work in, so now that breeded the confidence that I needed for that moment, because of what I had already experienced. And as the older you get, the more cyclical things get, the more spiraling you see in terms of how things connect. And that's what my dad always said, keep living, because it's going to all start making sense. Boy, those things just start making sense. So I'm on the line. My mom and dad were watching. Mom said she was right in front of the TV, and she knew my routine, my dribble, spin, dribble, spin. She said I did it too fast. She thought I was going to miss. She said she thought I did it like too fast. But I made the two shots. We go to the Final Four. They're all standing there, hook 'em horns. It was quiet in there, 14,000 people going like this. We were like, we got to get out of here. And we got out of there. And they were like, let's get these nets down, and then we're going to get out. But it was quite something to experience a Final Four that year. We lost to Tennessee in the semis, but it was still something that I will never forget, just experiencing that level of hoops, but also the hurdles that you can clear when you put your mind to it. For me, my coach in high school was always like, you can't play not to lose. You got to continue to play to win. We were in a 2-point game in my senior season, and we barely won that game, won by 2, and it was an undefeated season, so you're on a tightrope mentally. So there are all these things that just go into who you can become. And when I say that, it's not who you can become for you, it's who you can become for others. It's the give back, it's the pour back into. And the love that I have for the game is something that I can't quantify. The intentionality that I have for watching, like David Aldridge said, like every little thing, because to me, there's no such thing as little things. Like my coach Bergen said, could have happened at the beginning. You got to focus at that point. Coach Weller said, you got to have that confidence within yourself. And Coach Weller had this book that she would always read quotes from us, for us at the games, like in the locker room. And it was the book called The Edge. Do you remember that, Coach? And it was by Howard E. Ferguson. And there was one that she just renamed, and it's called the Maryland Creed. And I'd be remiss not to recognize the entire Maryland table over there on the left. I'm sorry I didn't mention you at the beginning. But it's called the Maryland Creed. And it was, do I care about others and show it? Am I committed to the task at hand? And can people trust me to do my best, right? And that's not in the moment, that's the preparation. That's why Kobe never passed the ball, because he saw that the people that he was thinking about passing it to were not in the gym when he was in the gym at 4 a.m. putting in the time, so he took the shots. So can people trust me to do my best in terms of being a worker, in terms of being dedicated, in terms of loving the game like you say you do, not for what you can get out of it, but what you can give. And the end of that creed is, if the answer to these 3 questions is yes, then there's no way you can fail. But Coach changed the end of it. She said, if the answer to these 3 questions is yes, then you will win. And there were always those kinds of things that she taught us in terms of how to think the game, and not X's and O's, but attitudinally, right? How you step to the floor, right? With a winning mindset. For me, I think when you learn about yourself in those moments, that's when you can create a legacy. And for me, I know being a parent, that's something that will never get lost on me. Raising the kids in the gym was something that was very sweet, as I said. I'm going to get out of here because I know the football game's on in the WNBA playoffs. But I will say, I went overseas and played, and it was quite daunting, but for the love of the game, you do it. And you do it with passion, purpose, and pride. And that is the South Lakes Creed that we had there. And if you don't have those 3 things with whatever you're doing in life, it's going to be really tough for you to be successful. And the last quote I have, and I'm skipping over a lot of stuff here, so you're welcome. Here I am. Bree, is that how you do it? Yeah, okay. The last quote, it's about leadership, right? And we've heard it over and over, woven into everyone's speeches today, about being great leaders and great mentors. And that doesn't just fall on the shoulders of coaches. Parents are leaders as well. Parents like mine were examples of what it takes to be selfless, what it takes to be team first, what it takes to be inclusive. And the quote is, leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence. It's talking about people come in the room, you stand up a little straighter for a reason. There's a presence there. There's an expectation there. Leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that impact lasts in your absence. And that is what it is all about, rowing your boat gently down the stream, because life is but a dream. Thank you.